Welcome to Music Plus Gamecast, home of original music and gaming discussion.
Listen, listen. I know it's late. It's late as fuck. But I have to make a video about this. I really do. I'm sure you heard the news. I'm absolutely sure you heard the news. And it's kind of been known. It's kind of been rumored. It's kind of been leaked. We don't know exactly how this information was actually disseminated, but Sony has purchased Housemarque. And there's also been leaks. They leaked it by mistake that they've also purchased Bluepoint, and I wanted to kind of dig into what that means and what's the future of these particular studios and why they and how that's would work under the Sony umbrella. So I've always been under the camp of just letting you know. It's a big deal when Sony purchases a studio because almost every single studio they purchase, they've actually given them the budget and the freedom to evolve and elevate. Naughty Dog was Crash Bandicoot, and then Jack and Dexter, and then Uncharted, and then The Last of Us. It just kept getting better. Guerrilla Games was Killzone, and then Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But before we even start, let me just say, don't forget to subscribe to the video. I would really, 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 really appreciate it. Subscribe it, like it, share it when it goes on Twitter. I'm trying to get this channel as big as possible. Let's begin. So the first thing we want to tackle is Housemarque. So there was a big interview with the Housemarque team. I should say that the producer, the CEO, owner, I'm not sure what you call it, and Herman Holst. Both of them were kind of tag teaming this interview. And some things I would like to kind of go over. I'm going to break it down within pieces. So, the founder, co founder, and the managing director of Housemarque wants to use this acquisition to really break into new ground for the studio. And we already see the fruits of their labor when they created Returnal. I mean, it still has the DNA, which is really cool. It still allowed them to do these arcadey, rogue light type games, but with a new spin on it, they modernized the game itself and created what we know as Returnal. So, what can you expect from them? Bigger. You know, they also say this. Uh, we know lots of people from Sony, right? We've been working with these guys for 15 years. They've actually helped Guerrilla Games create Killzone Liberation for the PSP. And it kind of makes sense because it was like an overhead isometric view game, and I couldn't believe that little hint. I was like, what the fuck? So they've helped them. That kind of blew me away. Now the why. Why did they allow themselves to be purchased? Why did they sign the deal? Right? They said the results were great, and that they started to bring some ideas of what the future could look like. Right? What if we could get even closer together and be more ambitious? So it creates a safety net for them to really try different things. I don't know if you noticed, but they were kind of struggling a little bit when it came to the type of arcade type games that they've made. They've worked with Sony to create the next evolution in these type of arcade games. Some of the best game developers in the world that they know. You know what I mean? So we are really proud to be a part of that group. We hope to collaborate and learn from them. This is also another important thing, right? This is super important as to what they're actually doing. Being under Sony, what does that mean exactly? Because they have a plethora of go tos and engines. They could have borrowed the Decima engine or whatever engine that they needed, or if they can get help on a nagging issue technologically. So this is really big for them. Um, it really helps them take the limitations away. When it comes to being independent and looking for people to, excuse me, you got to hide the shit in here. Looking for people to help them with their game. Uh, the what did I call him again? The co-founder says this, right? He says, as creative, it's never like 10 out of 10. You have your doubts as to how the people are going to react to the new stuff that you do. They are moving on to their next project, and I'm sorry, I'm reading this shit so fucked up. Is there still more for this game? So let me back up. All right, okay. So now what they're talking about now, so I had to write all this shit down. So now what they're talking about is there anything else coming out of Returnal before they move on? And one of the things that was interesting is that they said that we can do that from now on, even more than we did since we can concentrate on a platform. Um, what am I reading? I apologize for this shit. I'm writing the notes down. It's all fucked up. So basically, they wanted to know what are you going to do with Returnal in the future. And I heard that there's a save game feature. Just to let you know, I know this is all over the place as a passing note, right? Um, they may be focusing on a save system on there, because I know that's one of the things that they were working on. But then they go on to say this too. Um, they go on to say it's difficult to create something new. You can't just hit it out the park. That's something that you can't do. Um, and it's unique. Returnal is a unique situation, and they still gotta learn different things. And what if you're under Sony, it really helps. May take these risks. So let me take a look here. Um, Now they did work on something, even though their Returnal game is using Unreal. They did work on a particle system, so that's theirs, and they hope to make whatever they're making. Hope to elaborate on there. So whatever it is, it seems to be like a bullet hell type game in the future. Um, Let me take a look here. They said something about any topics concerning the game. One of the things that was interesting too is that they're taking a long vacation from this game, and from just making games in general, so they can kind of recoup everything that they need to do to reset. You know what I'm saying? Which is pretty cool. I definitely appreciate Sony kind of tackling on game crunch. I feel like it's game crunch is necessary, but it seems like Sony is creating some sort of system here where the other studios are helping others out when the other developers are not needed. So like, you may not have a need for animators when you're in a preliminary state. You know what I'm saying? Those animators can go to another studio. So it seems like Sony is really creating like a synergy within their studio. Anyway, so that's all I have for Returnal. Next thing is this too is Blue Point. It's almost 100% guaranteed uh, that they purchased Blue Point. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about now in the other podcast that I do from the PlayStation Culture podcast, I wasn't too thrilled about Blue Point because it feels like another Ready at Dawn situation. Which, my boy Ken, he ended up telling me, he was like, "Well, Ready at Dawn wasn't under Sony. You know what I'm saying? So they don't have the backing there. But Blue Point will once they are acquired." So I want to know what's going on there. So there's a couple key things that I wanted to kind of let you know on. For one, they didn't even have artists when they were working on the Shadow of the Colossus back on PS3 when they did that remake. They just got actual artists when they created the Uncharted, because they had to create new textures and things of that nature. One of the points that I was looking at is their engine. They've been focusing on their engine. I know that was a big thing. And just what does it mean when you look at their engine? You know, what kind of games could you yield from that specific engine? And when I look at the whole big picture, it looks like they're moving more into a realistic type of palette. You have stuff where you have the temporal injection that gives a clearer image with less resources. It's the same thing with Insomniac game does. You can have a 1440p image. They have something where it will basically accumulate information and then push it out. So the more information that they have, the clearer it looks. They have stuff that is like screen space raycasting, which is basically like shadows. Um, they have a tessellation engine that creates extremely complex uh, polygons for the environment. Very dense meshes. I can't even say that shit right. So you don't see any kind of blockiness. You know what I'm saying? Um, they have there's a lot of things that they were doing. Um, I remember when they were making the Shadow of the Colossus, right? And they had an interview with Digital Foundry, and they didn't want to tell Digital Foundry what they were doing, but they did say something about a remake, and that remake today is what we know of as what do you call it? Demon Souls. Um, they were actually explaining what was going on with that process. How Santa Monica Studios were kind of helping them out, how different people were helping them out, how learning shit from Naughty Dog when they were doing a remake and stuff like that, how that helped them out. Um, they were saying something like this project served us as a great point of growing an art team to the point where we can take on a full AAA game um, with a major art scope. So now our next step is to improve on that art pipeline and improve the engine. One of the key things that they did say, because my thing is this: I don't want them to be stuck with a remaster, stigma. That's something I'm like, that's kind of whack if it is. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's corny as shit if that's going to be there. I don't mind any kind of remasters, but it's to me it's such wasted potential. They need to be able to make their own IP, and they actually said something about that. They said they want to make sure that they get a shot at an original IP. They don't want to be simply the remake studios, even if they do more remakes, right? So they're good at it, you know what I'm saying? But they want to do their own thing. This is a quote for them too, by the way. And while they have value and love their independence, they also realize that the industry is rapidly growing and evolving. They feel comfortable with their existing partnership with Sony and decided to sell to them. This is something that was kind of last year and what they were going with that one. So it doesn't seem like they're making their own IP, but there's been a lot of swirling rumors around a couple of different remakes. You already know the Metal Gear Solid one. There was a sound effect in Demon Souls and the Nexus, the hub world, where it was directly from Metal Gear Solid. It was like Metal Gear Solid Rex, right? They were tweeting strange things, saying that it was a symphony of rumors, right? Which could point to another Konami game, which is Castlevania. There's also this elusive Bloodborne remaster. That would make the most sense if they were working on that, and then they would work on something else. I don't know why there's so many ties to Konami, but there's also the Silent Hills rumor as well that they're helping out with that one. And last but not least, there's also what was the other one? Oh man, um, la 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 la. What is it? The Legend of Dragoon. So supposedly Polyphony Digital is working on an RPG, and possibly, and maybe maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe it's a way for them to translate, help the Japanese translate into like the American market. But remaking a whole Legend of Dragoon, I'm kind of curious as to how that would kind of focus, how that would happen, because a lot of the artists were from the Japan studios and they're defunct, or at least most of them has left and was converted over to Asobi Studios. But it is interesting as to seeing what they would be able to do. It's going to be super fucking interesting. So to kind of wrap all of this up, my curiosity is I am so glad that Housemarque has been acquired because now they can kind of grow and evolve and master their craft and make something bigger and better with the same sentimentality as the arcade games that they make. You know, I'm so glad that they have cultivated this community when they did Returnal. It's very similar to the Bloodborne series, where it's very hard and the whole community try to figure out what the hell the storyline is, how to beat this, how to beat that. It was really, really interesting, and I'm glad. I think they missed the opportunity when they created, when they made what do you call it? Where they let From Software go. I feel like they could have purchased them back then and they didn't. But this is kind of making up for it. And in terms of Blue Point, I just hope, because they're growing too. Both of the studios are growing. I just really, really hope that they are not relegated to remasters, remakes, and that they'll be able to make their own IP and just learn things from these other studios. I would really like that. But that's all I have. Definitely don't forget to sub to this video. I really would appreciate it. Show your man some support. I am out. It's late. I'm sorry for the lack of energy and me being kind of serious, Sam, but I appreciate you guys. Peace out.